How's it going on, everybody? In today's video, we're going to be doing another mock draft here. This will probably be my last only one-round mock draft. I'm really looking to get into the two-round mock drafts or three-round mock drafts in the very near future. Probably in April, I'll have two of them. But to start off, this is going to be the post-free agency mock draft. A lot of teams' needs have changed, and I'm going to be adjusting how I draft these teams based on that. So let's just start off with the clear and obvious first pick now. Obviously, Justin Fields has been traded to the Steelers for a conditional sixth that could turn into a fourth. Caleb Williams is the clear and obvious pick now for the Chicago Bears. I think he's set up pretty well for Chicago. They signed DeAndre Swift in free agency, sure, but more importantly, they traded for Keenan Allen. And then I'll talk about their ninth pick soon. I'll adjust to their other needs at the ninth overall pick once I get to it. But then for the Commanders, they didn't address quarterback in free agency. Excuse me. I think that it's clear and obvious that they're going to go with Drake May. There have been some rumors, maybe that Jaden Daniels could go, maybe that J.J. McCarthy could go second, but in my opinion, I think that Drake May is the second best quarterback in the class. I know he's been getting dogged a little bit on social media, people saying, Chris Sims' terrible quarterback list came out, had him at sixth, the sixth best quarterback in this class. I don't see that at all. I think he is the second best quarterback in this class. I'll take him for the Commanders. And then for the New England Patriots, I've been debating on trading their pick for the longest, and I think that it's going to make the most sense here. I'm going to be trading with the Vikings because the Vikings, all their moves in free agency just screamed to me that they're going to go with quarterback. Didn't re-sign Kirk Cousins, who ended up going to the Falcons, who I'll talk about a little bit later. But it seems like they're dead set on getting quarterback, and in my opinion, the third best quarterback in this class is Jaden Daniels, the best rusher in this class, arguably the best, just a pure runner on the ground. And for the Vikings, it just seems like that quarterback is going to be their main option in free agency. I didn't mean to say free agency, I meant the draft. However, the Cardinals, I think after some people say that the Cardinals could trade this pick for a desperate team that wants to go with J.J. McCarthy. I'm pretty set on the Cardinals taking Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't see that changing. I don't know why they would. I think they're in a pure spot to get a pure wide receiver one. Let Hollywood Brown go in free agency. Didn't trade for a wide receiver one in the market. Didn't trade for a veteran. I think it's, the most realistic option for Marvin Harrison Jr. to go here at 4. And then for the Chargers, I think that this is another spot where John Harbaugh is just going to be like, I'm trading down to... This is a bit weird because I am trading down with a division rival, which is not usually, teams don't trade with divisional rivals. However, I think that this has been rumored a ton, and I think that J.J. McCarthy is a good enough fit for what Sean Payton likes to do and with his offense. I don't think J.J. McCarthy is a first-round talent. I have him as my quarterback 5, slightly under Michael Penix Jr., just purely based on how good they are, not their potential, obviously. I think J.J. McCarthy has a bit better potential than guys like Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr. However, I just don't think he's there skill-wise yet. I do think he should sit minimum a year. But he's young too. He's 21. He has time to spare. And then for the Denver Broncos, again, cut Russell Wilson. He's going to the Steelers. They do not have a quarterback in their room that's good enough to be a qualified starter. Go ahead and get J.J. McCarthy and jump the New York Giants, who are also rumored to potentially get J.J. McCarthy, even though I do not think that the Giants are going to get J.J. McCarthy. I think they maybe wait another year for quarterback. That's just my opinion. But this kind of falls into their lap. I think that they can get Malik Nabers here if this kind of works out. Love Malik Nabers in the draft. I think he is the Steve Smith said he was the 1B. I think he's the 2. I think Marvin Harrison is Marvin Harrison's really up here, but then Nabers is just as good of a receiver. Great route runner, great after the catch, explosive receiver. He's very good. And then for the Tennessee Titans, this could be one of two things because they did go ahead and draft Rome Odunze. But I don't know. I think that the Tennessee Titans are in a prime position to take Joe Alt here. I don't know whether they would want to take Rome Odunze because it kind of would fit scheme-wise. You signed Calvin Ridley to a $92 million 4-year deal. You get the traditional X next to him. or on the opposite side of him, sorry, but their offensive line was really bad, and I think that Brian Callahan, their new head coach, would want to protect his quarterback a bit more because you look at the Bengals situation, and Joe Burrow has just got hurt because the offensive line was bad and is one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league. Go ahead and take Joe Alt, who is, 6'8", 320 pounds, and just a phenomenal athlete. And also he's been the best left tackle in college football the last 2 years. Go ahead and take him. For the Falcons, their needs have changed pretty much drastically because you go from their biggest need being quarterback. They were a big trade-up candidate. Now you sign Kirk Cousins, and your offense looks totally different because now you actually could have a very productive offense with Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson. Your offensive line is already pretty built, and you already have... I wonder what Raheem Morris is going to put in with the scheme. I don't know if it's going to look exactly like the Rams because they are bringing in the Rams passing game coordinator as their offensive coordinator. However, I think this is going to be a defensive selection here, and I think it's pretty much edge rusher, edge rusher, edge rusher. It depends because my edge rusher 1 is Leia 2. I don't know if he's going to go 1, and it makes me think because a lot of people mock Dallas Turner to the Falcons. In my opinion, Dallas Turner is 3rd behind Leia 2 and Jared Verse. But I think I'm going to go with my edge 1. I'm going to pick what I think would be the best move. Leia 2 could be an ultra consistent edge rusher in the class. He moves super well, quick first step off the line, and he has the deepest bag of pass rush moves. He has the best hands at the point of attack. He's got some solid power, good athleticism. And then I'll get to the other edge rushers later and why I have them behind Leia 2. But again, 26% pass rush win rate, and he was the highest graded defensive player in college football last year. And then that's, I think, the biggest need for the Falcons, which would be defense. Moving on to the Chicago Bears, I think that I would really lean towards taking, with this pick, Rome Odunze, because you drafted Caleb Williams. I would like them to take left tackle, but I'm just not as high on the rest of the tackles for the top 10. I am high on the tackle class big time, especially left and right tackle. However, Rome Odunze is my 7th player on my board. I love him a lot. He is the best contested catch artist in this class. He's just a pure acrobat. He's got good speed, good athleticism, solid route running, like Rome Odunze. And plus you already have Keenan Allen, who's your veteran short intermediate route runner kind of guy. You have DJ Moore, your explosive wide receiver, your deep threat, and then you have Rome Odunze, who can just do everything on the sideline. The situation for Caleb Williams at that point would be one of, if not the best situation for a first overall quarterback we've seen in a long time. I mean, Rome Odunze would be just, if he fell into the lap of the Chicago Bears at 9, you got to send in that card. And then for the Jets, they signed Tyron Smith in the offseason. So I think their moves drastically shift because now you don't need to force yourself into a tackle spot here. And plus, I think that was my argument for the entire draft season. The Jets just don't force themselves into a situation where you need to take a left tackle. And for me, the rest of the best left tackles in this draft right now are probably Olu Fashanu or Troy Fautanu. And I'm a lot lower on Olu Fashanu. I like Troy Fautanu, but I am also a little lower on him than some other people. I have some issues about his size, but he does move phenomenally. But then you have Talisa Fuaga. He's a true right tackle. J.C. Latham cannot move to the left side either. I think you just should go ahead and, if you don't get Rome Odunze, take the next best skill position player, who is Brock Bowers. He's 3rd on my big board. I think it could be a generational tight end. He can essentially act as a wide receiver. He is really a big slot, and the Jets do not have a slot receiver. Garrett Wilson is the number 1. And then Brock Bowers. You could have 2 tight end sets with Tyler Conklin and then Brock Bowers. That would just be a really nice move. Brock Bowers is my favorite tight end in the class. And then moving on to the Patriots, who have now 2 first-round picks after I made this trade. I think that they are still in the mix for quarterback, even though I'm going to take quarterback later. I think that Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr. are both going to be on the board at this point. However, I think with the New England Patriots, I'm going to go... I would probably go with... I would probably go with wide receiver here. I think wide receivers are going to go really early in this draft class. I think regardless of my grades or anything, I have what, 5 wide receivers in my top 20. I have 6 in my top 23. I'm going to take Adonai Mitchell with the Patriots here. I love Adonai Mitchell. He is a crazy athlete. He was the highest rated athlete according to this class based on RAS. He ran a 4.340. He is a phenomenal route runner, especially in college. And he really runs away from guys. I thought he was the best Texas wide receiver. And he just had a really good offseason within the draft. Adonai Mitchell, I think he could be definitely a top 15 pick. And then for the Patriots, you don't have a wide receiver 1. Go ahead and draft 1 with Adonai Mitchell. And then for the Chargers, who are now at 12, they also traded back. I would really like them to take wide receiver here, but I think I'm going to change it up a little bit. I really, really, really would love them to take wide receiver here. And I am leaning towards Brian Thomas Jr. because, I mean, I don't know. With the Chargers here, they're a little bit stuck. I would trade back again with their pick if they do have this, just to accrue more picks from next year if teams are trying to go out for quarterback. Because they are kind of stuck here. They really lost a wide receiver 1. They cut Mike Williams, and they don't have Keenan Allen. So they're just purely in the market for a wide receiver. But I think I'm going to go with a bit of a different pick here, and I'm going to go with cornerback. I think we'll address wide receiver in the second round if they're in this situation. So Terrion Arnold is my cornerback 1 in this class. I really like Terrion Arnold. He for the film, he blew me away. He's got great ball production. He had a ton of really good interceptions on tape. He has great movement and hip fluidity and good footwork. Those are all stuff that I really look for in cornerbacks. He didn't blow people away in the combine. He ran a 4.3 flat, had like a 37 vertical. He did fine at the combine, but more importantly, his film was the best out of all the cornerbacks I watched. And he also has slot and boundary versatility. But overall, I have my prospect breakdown on Terrion Arnold coming within the next couple of weeks. But love Terrion Arnold. I think he's definitively my cornerback 1 in this class. And then moving on to the Raiders, I would have said they're taking quarterback, but they did sign Gardner Minshew. I think Minshew's a fine. I think Minshew's a fine player. I don't exactly know if they're going to move outside of the 3-4. It looks like they're going to stay there because they did sign Christian Wilkins to a massive deal. So this now means I'm not going to pick Byron Murphy, Byron Murphy screams at me of being a Raider. But I think they are in the market more or less for a tackle. And I'd be interested to see which tackle I would pick because I don't think they have... Colton Miller is a... Yeah, I don't think they have right tackle. I'm pretty certain they don't have right tackle. They just lost Illuminor or whatever his name is. He signed with the Giants as really a backup potential starter. I think that Talisa Fuaga is a great move for the Raiders. I love Talisa Fuaga is my 11th player in the draft. He's the best probably the best run blocker in the entire class. He's a mauler type as well. As a pass blocker, he is solid. I just limited a bit by his lateral quickness because of his size, but had a good combine as well. Talisa Fuaga, like him a ton. And then for the Saints, I am also really in the market for tackle, but I think I've just been mocking tackle for them too much. I think I'm just going to go with the fun pick with Byron Murphy II. Again, Byron Murphy, he's my 9th player on my 2024 NFL draft board. And Murphy he had a 19.6 pass rush win rate as a nose tackle 2-eye, really more like a 4-3 defensive tackle or a 3-4 nose tackle, kind of in that range. However, 19.6 pass rush win rate, led all interior defensive linemen. I think he has the best pass rush moves. He's got great quickness off of the line. Did measure in at under 300 pounds, but I don't think that quite matters. Also 6 feet tall. However, Byron Murphy II, I think, is ways and away the best interior defensive tackle, and then very close behind him is Jerzon Newton, who I'll get to in a minute, or I'll get to a little later. For the Colts, I don't think they would desperately need wide receiver at this point. I think that they're much more in the market for a defensive back. I'm going to take Quinyon Mitchell, who is my second best cornerback in this class. Love Quinyon Mitchell. Dude's a freak athlete. Ran in the 4.3s in the combine, and The one thing that I would say about him is, or the two things really, the two big negatives are his technical skills and his um, competition. When he played good competition, it was a little bit more difficult for him, especially in 2022 when he played Marvin Harrison and Emeka Ibuka. However, in 2023, he was just dominant against the teams that Toledo faced. Toledo was, they were just he was ways and away better than the rest of the wide receivers he faced, unless he faced an NFL wide receiver. But at the Senior Bowl, he held his own. But then technically, his athletic skills really make up for a ton of his technical stuff. He would need to be coached up in that way, but he has a ton of potential, and he has also good size and physicality and ball production. He had, he would, what was it? What was the number, like 14 forced incompletions, 17 forced incompletions. Great ability with that. But then for the Seahawks, their free agency, they were a big free agency losers. They pretty much lost Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs, Jordan Brooks on defense. I don't know what's going to happen with Tariq Woolen either. He was sat a lot last year, so they might need boundary. They really need safety now in the draft. They need linebacker really bad. They also lost Bobby Wagner. They just got a defensive head coach with Mac McDonald. It just screams to me that they are taking defense, and I am going to take. I think that who would be a really good. I think that Jared Verse would be a really good Mac McDonald guy. Jared Verse plays probably with the best power among Dallas Turner, Leia Tillatu, and then him. He plays with the best power rush. He also has. He's very solid technically. He is a bit up there in age, 23. I think he's going to turn 24 soon, redshirt senior. However, great power, really good speed off of the line, and then a great athlete. He had a good combine as well. But the Seahawks have had a really weird offseason. I mean, I think they've been one of the bigger losers. And then moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, this is a really similar situation where I think that it's still cornerback for them. You cut Darius Williams, and that kind of this could be an interesting pick. I think that Nate. I don't know. I don't know if Cooper DeJean would maybe fit their system best because they don't run a ton of slots. So I would go with Nate Wiggins here. I think Nate Wiggins would be a good scheme fit. I like Nate Wiggins. I like Wiggins a lot. Good hands. He was locked down totally at times at Clemson. Great in zone coverage, and the one thing about Nate Wiggins is that he's 173 pounds at the combine. Yeah, but he ran a 4.29, great speed. And then for the Jaguars, I think they just need a replace boundary for Darius Williams. And then for the Bengals, this is. I don't know if they signed. I don't know. They didn't sign DJ Reader. DJ Reader left in free agency. But I mean, they just signed Trent Brown, like today, the day I'm recording this on like a Tuesday. Jonah Williams is gone too. I think that they're more in line for offensive tackle. And I'm going to go with Amarius Mims. They just need tackle. Bengals have always had an issue with tackle in the last like 3 years, ever since they drafted Joe Burrow. However, you lose Jonah Williams in free agency. Not really a big loss because he wasn't very good. But you did sign Trent Brown for a 1-year deal at left tackle, or technically at right tackle, but it's a 1-year deal. You still have Orlando Brown. I'm going to draft Amarius Mims. He has arguably the most potential out of any of the especially for the right tackles in this class. I think he has the most potential. He allowed a pressure rate of like sub 1% when he was healthy, and on like non-RPOs, non-screen plays, stuff like that. Amarius Mims also had a crazy combine at like 6'7", 340 pounds, and he ran with like just close to a 5.40, which is crazy. And then for the Rams, I think that this is all you lose. Or you sign Jonah Jackson at guard. So I don't know if their main goal would be offensive tackle, but they lost Leonard Floyd. You lose Aaron Donald, which is a huge one. And I think I would probably replace Aaron Donald, honestly. I think that they're also a good trade-up candidate for Byron Murphy. But I'm going to take, if Jer'Zhan Newton falls to you, you're going to get a really, really good pass rushing interior defensive lineman. I think Jer'Zhan Newton is a 3 tech all the way. He cannot play the nose, and he can't play 3-4. He can't play like a 2-gap scheme. But I think he fits right into to what Aaron Donald kind of played, which is a 3 tech. Hopefully he won't get as many double teams because he is under 300 pounds. However, great pass rusher, quick off the line, great pass rush moves, and movement ability for a defensive tackle. He moves very well. Also, great gap closer as a run defender. And then moving on to the Steelers, you basically get 2 quarterbacks with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. I wonder if they're going to run 2 QB sets. That would be quite fun, especially because they're 2 rushing threat quarterbacks. However, the biggest need for them, I think definitively, is wide receiver. I would love them to get a true separator. I'm gonna pick Ladd McConkey here in the first round. You trade away Deontay Johnson, and you really only have George Pickens as your number 1 wide receiver. They did cut Allen Robinson. They cut their wide receiver 3, and now they have Calvin Austin as their wide receiver 2. Go ahead and get a true separator, a really good short and intermediate separator with Ladd McConkey, but he's also fast. He ran a 4.39 40 at the combine. And Ladd McConkey's had especially at the Senior Bowl, showing his quick feet and ankle flexion. Excuse me. And then moving on to the Miami Dolphins. I've been always questioning kind of who I want to take for them. And I think that this is maybe a beautiful blend for the Dolphins. I'm going to take Jackson Powers-Johnson, my favorite interior offensive lineman, and he's my 22nd player on my board. I think Jackson Powers-Johnson is a phenomenal, just overall lineman. I mean, he's huge. He came in at the combine at 6'3", 328 pounds, which is, if not the heaviest center, or would be the heaviest center at the NFL level right now. I don't know anybody else. Ryan Jensen was in that 320 range, but who else is over 325 pounds at center? He moves a little sluggish, but that's okay. He's really good once he gets out to the second level. Great run blocker, great pass blocker technically as well. His head's always on a swivel. He's got great awareness for a center. But the one thing is just the penalties, especially like the holding and then the unnecessary penalties. But Jackson Powers-Johnson is a really good center. I think he could arguably come in as a top 10 center right away. And then for the Philadelphia Eagles, they just do not have secondary players. I think that Cooper DeJean is a great selection for them. Cooper DeJean can pretty much play everywhere. In the secondary, he could play the slot. He could play the boundary. He could play safety, free safety, or strong safety within the box, or a deep blue. He could pretty much play all those responsibilities, as well as being good physically. He also has good size at around 6 foot, 203 pounds, weighted in at the combine. He is coming off of a broken leg. However, I think he'll be back for the regular season. And also, special teams, was the best punt returner in the Big 12, won an award for that. And then with the New England Patriots coming in with their second pick, it really depends on what Jerod Mayo wants to do with his scheme and whether he wants to really change it for a left-hander. Michael Penix Jr. is a phenomenal quarterback with great zip on the ball. However, you got to change the scheme for a left-hander. There's a reason why there's only one other left-handed quarterback at the NFL level. And I'm going to go ahead and pick Bo Nix, even though I don't think Bo Nix is as good as Penix. But Bo Nix he's just got great, I think he's got the best short and intermediate accuracy. He really puts throws, he leads receivers very well. He's great in the pocket. But Oregon didn't face a ton of really good edge rushers, it felt like. And it felt like the pocket was always really safe for Bo Nix. But great accuracy, 77%, good arm strength, and good processing. Obviously, he's had a ton of time to learn or to feel the game, especially at the FBS level. Was at Auburn in 2019, and now is a 2024 NFL draftee. But moving on to the Cowboys, I think the Cowboys would really love Jackson Paris-Johnson after they lost Tyler Biadasz, who was a great center for them. But I'm really leaning towards. I would more be leaning towards. They quite literally didn't make any move in free agency, so I think their needs have kind of just stayed the same. But I'm going to go with Brian Thomas Jr. I think for Dak Prescott, I know running back would be an option, but they got to take running back maybe in the second round. Or the third. No, you don't need to take running backs within really the first 2 rounds, actually. But Brian Thomas Jr., phenomenal deep threat. Just a straight line guy. And 4.3 at the combine, but he led the FBS in touchdowns. He had the most touchdowns of 20+ air yards. Brian Thomas Jr., he's that straight line, just go up and get it. Just that, And then for the Cowboys, you got CeeDee Lamb, who is your route runner. He's your wide receiver 1. And then you have your explosive guy with Brian Thomas Jr. Dak Prescott, big time. He makes a ton of he's not afraid to throw it deep. I think Brian Thomas Jr. would fit well in Dallas. Then moving on to the Green Bay Packers, I've just really loved Troy Fautanu, just Troy Fautanu to the Green Bay Packers. I think that's just been the pick. They have a really young team, and some people maybe would want them to take a secondary player, but I just think that it's offensive line all day for them. You cut David Bakhtiari, and that's now your biggest need is left tackle. Gonna go with Troy Fautanu, who was part of the best offensive line. They won I forgot what award it was, but Troy Fautanu probably has the best movement for an offensive tackle out of this class. You can see in the combine drills. I forgot what drill it was, but he moves very well. And at the Washington Pro Day, however, the only issue is the size. I think he came in at 310, like either that or a little bit above 310, and just the power, especially maybe as a run blocker, but as a pass blocker, he's really well, and he moves very well. And I think for the Green Bay Packers, that it sounds like a good. They run a ton of play action, and they run a ton of like spread stuff. So I think that Fautanu would be a good scheme fit. And then for the Buccaneers, re-sign Baker Mayfield, bring back Mike Evans, which is, that could have been their biggest need, wide receiver in the draft. Now I think it's more towards cornerback, probably, or edge rusher. And I think I'm going to take edge. I think I'm going to take Dallas Turner here because you did lose Shaq Barrett in the offseason. I'm just a lot lower on Dallas Turner than a lot of other people. You're going to see Dallas Turner in like a bunch of other mock drafts going especially before lot 2, probably the most likely at 8. I'm just a lot lower on Dallas Turner. I don't buy his ability as a run defender. And, run defense grade in the 70s. More importantly, his run stop rate at 4.2%. And also, I think the film kind of justifies, and he's not the best run defender, especially when double teams happen. But as a pass rusher, he's extremely quick off of the edge. And he has good bend. And he likes to convert his speed to power with his bull rushes. But he's a bit inconsistent, in my opinion, on tape. Those big plays, those sack plays are the ones that really, the ones that people really see on the highlights. But then when you watch like a 20 plus minute tape and you see all of his plays, it's like, oh, he didn't make a ton of plays. He really made 3-4 splash plays, and then that's kind of it. That's a bit why I'm a bit lower on Dallas Turner. But I think for the Buccaneers, they get an edge to especially a pass rushing edge with Shaq Barrett 2 years ago, and past that was such a phenomenal pass rusher. Got 10 plus sacks all the time. But now I think they're really missing that splash player on the defensive line. And then for the Cardinals, you already take wide receiver. I then think this is now a secondary move. Going to go with Kool-Aid McKinstry. Goated name. However, Kool-Aid McKinstry, in my opinion, is either the best or the second best man coverage or all-around type of just coverage player. Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think I love him more man. I know he had a very high zone grade, but that's because he played a lot less, or he played more man. Because at Alabama, what they kind of did was split coverage. It's man side here, zone side here. It's just they have just such a unique scheme Terrion Arnold was more of that zone guy. McKinstry was more of that press man guy. And McKinstry played very well in that press man ability. And also, but the thing about Khalid McKinstry is his hands. He sold a lot of interceptions. I think I watched 4 games of Alabama film and then a ton of just onto the TV live. He dropped a ton of interceptions. But then moving on to the Buffalo Bills, they again I'm gonna take. I would love to. I would really like to take wide receiver here. I think that, yeah, I would. They really need to take defensive back as well, like cornerback, because they cut to Tre'Davious White. They don't have Poyer anymore. But they need wide receiver. Stephon Diggs. Whatever will happen to Stephon Diggs. Who cares? Khalil Shakir is going to be the wide receiver one. But lost Gabe Davis. Just replaced Gabe Davis with another big play guy in Troy Franklin, who is just more of he is a great explosive guy, good after the catch, 3.32 yards per route run, always a good sign. However, not a contested catch guy. He's a thin wide receiver at around 180 something pounds, not a contested catch guy, and he on film I watched some Oregon stuff. He made some questioning, head scratching drops, which I think is the main issue with him. That's why he is not a first round grade in my opinion. And then for the Lions, this is probably an edge rusher or a cornerback. I think I'm leaning towards... I would lean towards edge rusher here. I'm going to go with Chop Robinson. Chop Robinson, I think, fits the Lions a good... I think he's a good scheme fit for them. Because the thing about Chop Robinson, why I haven't been picking him in the first round a ton, is he's more of a situational pass rusher guy. He only had 300 snaps in 10 games. Again, look at here, 300 snaps, 10 games, which is not a lot, but really high pass rushing grade and 20.9 pass rush win rate. And he has, on film, crazy bend. He is off the line, it's just quick, and then boom, he's around the tackle. He looks really good on film. It's just the stats don't match up. He only had like 3 sacks, and I think he had less than 30 pressures, or like only 30, something like that. But the film makes it seem like this guy is like, he should be edge 1 in the class. It's a bit interesting. I do think he is a situational pass rusher. I don't buy him too much as a run defender, but I think for the Lions, you got Aiden Hutchinson, who's a 3-down edge rusher, and then on the other side, you got guys like James Houston who can rush. You got Chop Robinson who could rush. But other than that, I think they could take, I think they could take cornerback even. Again, you guys could see, I haven't been drafting tackle a lot either. I still got J.C. Latham on the board, and I still got Olu Fasano here too. And then for the Ravens, I think this is kind of where I would take... Yeah, I would take offensive tackle here. I would take Olu Fasano. Again, I took him super, super late. I am not the biggest fan of Olu Fasano. He's not a first-round player, in my opinion. I think he lacks power. He has great agility and flexibility for an offensive tackle and good movement, but the power is not there. I do not think it was there. And as a run defender, he's kind of plus or minus and setting the edge. I just don't like that type of tackle. And Mika, look at his zone and gap grades, and then his run blocking grade. I think that they match up with the film a lot, but then the pass blocking grade, I think he's a good pass blocker. But again, against power players, it's rough. JC Tuamoloau bullied him. But then moving on to the San Francisco 49ers, I'm going to go with J.C. Latham, who is quite literally the opposite. I think J.C. Latham plays with the best power of this. He might arguably play with the best power for an offensive tackle. Also, huge. He's a huge tackle. 6'6", 330 plus pounds. Big guy. Big power guy. Especially within the run game. He's just got big, strong hands, and he'll just start pushing guys. And then for the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm going to continue to... It's really interesting for them. They do need a wide receiver 3, but then, they don't, They never really need a wide receiver because Mahomes could just do it. He could just do it with any receiver. It's just more of they really should have a wide receiver. And I'm going to go with Xavier Legette. Legette's been getting a ton of hype over the offseason. I like Legette because he's got really good hands. He comes down with a ton of stuff, and he's great after the catch. Good speed for a big 6'1", 220 plus pound wide receiver. And I think they're just gonna kind of add another Rashee Rice kind of guy, but more of a throw it up and just let him dunk on people. But that's gonna do it for my mock draft 5.0. The next time you guys will see me will be on either a 2 or 3 round mock draft, probably a 2 round for the next one, and I'll be obviously be going a lot faster. Won't be talking about these players. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.